Hi everyone, this is Chrissy Morgan with Tyro Security, and today in this video let's talk about preparing for an interview. This is one of my favorite topics because it's such a commonly asked question with my candidates, and it's also really fun for me to be able to help people be as successful as possible in interviews. So now you have your resume already and you've impressed them enough to get an interview. Let's talk about how to get through that 1 to 5 rounds of interviews before the offer stage, which I hope you get there too. Let's do our best to get you there. So preparation is absolutely crucial. It could make or break your success, and all of these things that I'm covering today are basically helping you vamp up your interview skills. So number one, I would say probably the first thing I would do in terms of getting ready for a new interview is preparation. Research the company, read the company's website. Start there. Get as much information as you can about the CEO and the CISO. Google the company and then click on the news tab on Google and see if there's any recent news, anything that might be relevant, something that you can bring up in your interview, something that you can use to sound informed and to show that you've done your research. This is really huge. A lot of interview questions tend to be, what do you know about our company? And you want to be really you don't necessarily need to give a laundry list, but you want to be conversational about the company. Show that you've done your research, show that you're interested. Another really great resource is to go onto LinkedIn and look at the company profile and your interviewer's profile. So a lot of candidates get a little squeamish about clicking on someone's profile because they might see that you viewed them. That is not at all inappropriate. So sorry for the double negative. It is totally appropriate to use LinkedIn to internet stalk appropriately your interviewer. That's what LinkedIn is for. It's a professional resource, online, public tool that everyone can use this way. Also look at the Wikipedia history. And often companies will have a YouTube channel. Sometimes you'll even get a tour of the inside of the office and see how people are dressed and what the office looks like. These are all great ways to get a sense for how businessy you need to look for your interview, if it's a Zoom call or, you might find all kinds of interesting information there. I would say, big tip, do not look at Glassdoor reviews before your interview. There's a lot of research that suggests that people are more likely to heed negative advice or negative reviews. And on top of that, people are more likely to leave a negative review when they're upset than a positive review when they're happy. So these reviews tend to put kind of a negative skew on things. I don't think it's really positive or beneficial. I would say go through with the interview process, see how you feel about the interviewer, about the company, about the opportunity, with the opportunity to discuss it face-to-face with a human being before you even look at those things, if you even decide to at all. As you do this research, make notes as you go along of any questions that come up for you about the company, the role, the culture, the team, the hiring manager, upcoming projects, all of that as you're going, because you really want to be prepared with great questions that you can ask. Those make you a memorable candidate. So next, I would say read the job description. If you have a printer, print it, make notes on the job description. I would even suggest that you make a note of every applicable skill that you have on the job description and even give an example. These are all just notes for yourself to kind of get your juices flowing and thinking about how talented you actually are and how skilled you actually are. These things can help you to feel a little bit more focused and less nervous in your interview. And then giving examples of these specific skills and tools, projects, those kinds of things on the job description. You can then have it in front of you for the interview and glance down at it as a reference if you get a brain fog or get so nervous that you forget what you were going to say. It happens to me literally all the time. And then I would also say the next step of preparation, print your resume or have it on a screen next to you. Maybe you have two screens that you could have these things pulled up on. Print your resume and reference that. You want to review your work history beforehand as well. Make sure that what you say matches what's on your resume. So reference it during your interview to answer any questions about your experience so that you don't misremember your dates or leave something out because you're nervous. I also recommend going through your resume and thinking about previous work experience and how it ties into the job description that you just read. You can make notes on the resume if you've printed it as well, writing 1 to maybe 3 examples of specific things that you've accomplished or statistics. It's a great idea to be able to give some numbers about a percentage of a budget with a specific tool, or any kind of KPIs, or any different relevant skills that you have, or how you improved workflow, those kinds of things. And then on the topic of forgetting because you're nervous, have a notepad and pen handy so that you can make notes of questions that they've asked you and any information that they give you that's really pertinent to the job. Because chances are when the interview is over and the adrenaline wears off, not everyone has that, but many people do. Chances are that if the adrenaline wears off, you'll have forgotten most of what was said, or at least enough of it that maybe some important information about the team culture or little details about your interviewer, what their dog's name is, anything like that that they share with you. Make a note, because these are all very ways that you can be more personable in your follow-up. And then finally, practice your interview questions. Go through, there are a ton of resources online of different common interview questions. Practice, practice, practice. Sit alone in your apartment and talk to your houseplant, or record yourself and watch it, but don't be too critical. Maybe pay attention to how many times you say, I'm trying really hard not to right now. So then, as you research the company and jot down your questions, any questions that you ask are going to show that you've done your research. You want them to be based on your goals. You want your questions to be about your interview performance and next steps. So ask about team culture, about upcoming projects, career growth potential, performance expectations, what a typical day looks like in this job, if someone else held this position before you, or if it's a new position that you would be filling for the first time. Ask a few questions directed at the interviewer if you get time. Anything work related, of course. So maybe ask them how long they've been with the company. But if you've taken my advice and looked at their LinkedIn profile, you know how long they've been at the company. So maybe you can ask something a bit more specific. Ask them what they absolutely love about working there, what drew them to the company, how they see you fitting in on the team now that they've spoken with you. But probably the most important question that I recommend that you ask is, are there any gaps in answers that I've given you today to any of these questions, or any gaps on my resume that I can clarify while we're still on this call? This is so big, because if you can address any of those problems while they're still on the phone with you or on a Zoom call with you, then you are more likely to get moved on to the next step. Maybe you thought you answered a question thoroughly and they felt that it was a bit vague, or maybe you accidentally said the opposite of what you meant. It happens when we get nervous. So don't hesitate to just address it while you still have them on the phone. Okay, so if you are doing a phone interview, I have some advice for you on both of these points. So let's talk about first impressions. You've already made your first impression of your written communication abilities with your resume. So your telephone interview, your voice and the sound of your voice, the tone, your enthusiasm, your passion are really going to tell them a lot about who you are and your verbal communication skills. In the time of COVID, so many of us are now working remotely, especially those of us who can, and it's really, really important that you show that you're capable of communicating remotely. So first of all, find a quiet place to have this call. Make sure you have full service, and then have all of your questions ready, your resume in front of you, the job spec in front of you with your notes, and then smile when you talk. It is so weird. I'm on the phone all day, every day, while staring at LinkedIn, and I can hear it when people are smiling while they're talking. It's so strange that you can hear it through the phone, but you can. It changes the way that you speak, and it changes the way that people receive the information that you're sharing with them. So it shows your enthusiasm, your passion, and your interest in the role. So please smile while you talk, speak clearly and slowly, but not so slowly that they find it tedious to speak with you. Just take your time, answer their questions thoroughly. I recommend when they ask a question, allow yourself a moment to absorb, plan your answer, and then give your answer as succinctly as you can. If this is a Zoom call, please make sure that your Wi-Fi is working properly in advance on the same day as your interview. Clean up your background, AKA your house. I had to do that before my video because I have a puppy that's been playing behind me all day. And dress professionally. It doesn't matter what you're wearing on the bottom, but wear something nice on the top. And you only get to make one first impression, so don't wear your PJs. And let's see, definitely groom your hair, brush your teeth if you had a spinach salad that day, and dress as well, if not better, than you anticipate your interviewer to dress. We're all working from home these days. I know things are casual. Things tend to be casual in tech anyway, but it's not, an interview is never the time to wear a t-shirt and jeans. If you really don't want to get gussied up, then maybe wear a polo shirt or you know, a nice collared button shirt, or, you know, a dress, or a decent sweater, anything like that, as long as it's appropriate. Make sure it's clean and not wrinkled. And then follow up after. This is the most classic interview advice that so few people do anymore, and it's absolutely critical. So I wrote up a little bit of an example there, and it's, you know, it's an imagined response, but always get your interviewer's email address and send a memorable thank you note within 12 hours. So the way that I'm recommending that you write a memorable thank you note is really, you want to be professional, address the interviewer politely, professionally, in a friendly way. You don't need to be overly formal. And then be specific. Tell them why you enjoyed speaking with them, and tell them what you loved learning about, how you see yourself fitting in this role. Be specific. This is why you took notes during the call, so that in the follow-up you can reference the things that really stood out to you, that you maybe put 2 underlines after or under. So tell them why you think you'd be a great fit, and feel free to mention how your experience matches up with something specific that you discussed. Maybe it was a project that they told you is coming up, or anything like that, a technology or tool, years of experience, anything like that. But don't worry about selling yourself. You just really need to make sure that that you really show your enthusiasm for the role and look forward to speaking with them again. You don't need to make yourself sound overqualified for the role, like you've done this thing ad nauseum, but it's definitely a good idea to let them know that you really would love to work there. I also recommend that you make sure to give them your availability for an upcoming call. Just cut out that second or third or fourth email trying to get all of that stuff scheduled. Let them know what your availability is. Give them your phone number again. Speed things up. Let's get this moving along. Great. And don't forget to spell and grammar check the email. Okay, thanks. Okay, and then that's it, guys. So reach out to me if you have any questions, if I can help you further. Again, my Twitter handle, I'm on LinkedIn all the time. If I'm a little slow getting back to you, I'm still kind of getting through a lot of messages from helping with DEF CON, so please be patient with me. You can also find us at tyrosec.com. Thank you so much. I hope you found this helpful. Please keep in touch.